أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله تعالى على حبيبه محمد وآله وسلم. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our segment on Surah At-Tawba. Inshallah, today we will cover Ruku 5 of Surah At-Tawba, verses 30 to 37. The previous Ruku ended on the note that the believers must continue to fight against the forces that act upon their own will and not in accordance with the deen, until they have been overpowered and are willing to pay the jizya to compensate for their wrongdoings. May Allah grant us the ability to understand the true meanings of the Quran by the grace of His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen. With this dua, let's begin the fifth ruku of Surah At-Tawba. Verse 30. وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ أُزَيْرٌ ابْنُ اللَّهِ وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ اللَّهِ ذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُمْ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ يُدَاهِئُونَ قَوْلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ قَتَلَهُمُ اللَّهُ أَنَّى يُؤْفَكُونَ. The Jews say, Uzair is the son of Allah, and the Christians say, the Messiah is the son of Allah. That is their statement from their mouths. They imitate the saying of those who denied before. May Allah destroy them. How are they deluded? Yudahi'una means they imitate. Prophet Uzair alayhi salam and Prophet Isa alayhi salam are prophets of Allah, who were sent to convey His message and to educate the people. Prophets are the chosen ones, but they have worldly needs, just like other creatures do. They eat and they drink, they move around, they marry, and most of them had children and families. Surah Al-Furqan, verse 7 and verse 20, mentions the prophets as being like ordinary people. Allah is exempt from all these needs. He does not get hungry or thirsty. He does not need a companion, nor does he have any children. And this is clearly stated in Surah Al-Ikhlas in verses 1 to 4. Let's go on to verse 31. اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا إلها واحدا لا إله إلا هو سبحانه أما يشركون. They have taken their scholars and their monks as lords besides Allah, and the Messiah, the son of Mary. And they were not commanded except to worship one God. There is no deity except Him. Exalted is He above whatever they associate with Him. Ahbarahum means their rabbis or religious scholars. Ruhbanahum means their monks. This verse is a continuation from the previous one. These people were commanded to worship Allah alone and avoid all forms of shirk. Yet, they did just the opposite. They moved away from worshipping Allah and relying just on Him. Instead, they started worshipping and relying on the religious scholars and the monks. We need to be mindful that we don't fall into this trap. Let's go on to verse 32. يُرِيدُونَ أَن يُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَيَأْبَى اللَّهُ إِلَّا أَن يُتِمَّ نُورَهُ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. They want to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah refuses except to perfect His light, although the deniers dislike it. Yutfi'u means extinguish. Ya'aba means refuses. This verse is also repeated in Surah As-Saf in verse 8. The mushrikeen don't want Allah's nur to shine on them or anyone else, when they speak their falsehood. Nur is the light of guidance that we get from the Holy Quran, and whoever is attracted to it with a sincere heart is attracted towards Allah. And this light of guidance lights up within him, from which he moves forward in different directions of life. This is the same Nur that is mentioned in Surah Al-Tawaba in verse 9, where it says, "So believe in Allah and His Messenger, and the light which we have sent down, and Allah is aware of what you do." The efforts of the mushrikeen and those in denial are not supported by Allah or His Messenger, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let's go on to verse 33. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. It is He who has sent His messenger with guidance and the deen of truth to manifest it over all deen, although they who associate others with Allah dislike it. ليظهره means manifest it. Reveal it so it is clear. Allah sent the Holy Prophet ﷺ the complete deen of Islam as the source of guidance for all of mankind. Deen means law. The purpose of law in the world is to establish a welfare society in which everyone's rights are protected. But welfare can only be established when all people follow the law. It is mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah in verse 3, Islam being the complete and perfect deen for all. Let's go on to verse 34. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن كثيرا من الأحبار والرهبان لا يأكلون أموال الناس بالباطل ويصدون عن سبيل الله والذين يكنزون الذهب والفضة ولا ينفقونها في سبيل الله فبشرهم بعذاب أليم. O you who believe, indeed many of the scholars and the monks devour the wealth of people unjustly and avert from the way of Allah. And those who hoard gold and silver and spend it not in the way of Allah, give them tidings of a painful punishment. Yakniruna means hoard. Adhahaba wa anfidata means gold and silver. It refers to precious things. Of those who believe, of most religious scholars, monks, and dervishes, unfortunately, they consume the wealth of people in wrongful ways. And this fact is being highlighted in this verse. They deceive them in the name of religion, averting them from the path of Allah, but trying to make their own paths right. They accumulate wealth, but use it for their own purposes and not in the way of Allah. Such people will suffer a painful punishment for their deeds. Let's go on to verse 35. يَوْمَ يُحْمَى عَلَيْهَا فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ فَتُكْوَى بِهَا جِبَاهُهُمْ وَجُنُوبُهُمْ وَظُهُورُهُمْ هَذَا مَا كَنَزْتُمْ لِأَنفُسِكُمْ فَذُوقُوا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْنِزُونَ. In that term, it will be heated in the fire of hell, then branded therewith will be their foreheads, their flanks, and their backs. That is what you hoarded for yourselves, so taste what you used to hoard. Yuhma means will be heated. Fatukwa means branded or marked. Jibahum means their foreheads. Allah is a true creator and owner of all the resources that are available to us. They are given to us to use in a beneficial way and not to create hardships for people. Those who use their wealth given by Allah for the good of not only themselves, but for all of Allah's creatures, in accordance with the orders of Allah, they achieve success. While those who hoard their wealth, create problems not just for themselves, but for others as well. Let's go on to verse 36. Inna iddat ash-shuhuri inda Allahi isna ashara shahran fi kitabillahi yawma khalaqa as-samawati wal arda minha arba'atun hurum dhalika ad-dinul qayyim fala tazlimu fihinna أنفسكم وقاتلوا المشركين كأفة كما يقاتلونكم كأفة واعلموا أن الله مع المتقين. Indeed, the number of months with Allah is 12 months, in ordinance of Allah, the day He created the skies and the earth. Of these, 4 are sacred. That is the correct deen. So do not wrong yourselves during them, and fight against the deniers collectively as they fight against you collectively. And know that Allah is with the mindful. Iddata means number, as in a consecutive number. Ka'afatan means collectively or altogether. Since the creation of the skies and the earth, the number of months has been 12. From the various calendars throughout the world, we see the common value in all of them is the number of months, which is 12. And that's how many months it takes for Earth to complete one cycle around the sun. Out of the 12 months, this verse states that 4 of them are sacred. That means that fighting is forbidden as well as any sort of wrongdoing. However, more than fighting, it is worse in the eyes of Allah to avert people from the way of Allah during the sacred months. So for these people, it is necessary that you fight them in order to stop evil from spreading in the society. This is also mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah in verse 217. Let's go on to verse 37. إِنَّمَا النَّسِيُّ زِيَادَةٌ فِي الْكُفْرِ يُضَلُّ بِهِ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُحِلُّونَهُ آمًا وَيُحَرِّمُونَهُ آمًا لِيُوَطِئُوا عِدَّةَ مَا حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ فَيُحِلُّوا مَا حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ زُيِّنَ لَهُمْ سُوءُ أَعْمَالِهِمْ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Indeed, the postponing is an increase in denial, by which those who have denied are led astray. They make it lawful one year and unlawful another year, to adjust to the number made unlawful by Allah and make lawful what Allah has made unlawful. Made pleasing to them is the evil of their deeds, and Allah does not guide the people who are the deniers. An-nasi means postponing, to cause or arrange to take place later than originally scheduled. And in this verse, it refers to the postponement of the sacred months. Liyuwatiyu means adjust. This verse refers to the previous one. It is highlighting those people who adjust the order of the sacred months so they can continue to cause disruption for their selfish needs, instead of following what is commanded by Allah. They will never get guidance from Him, because Allah does not guide those who prefer the glory of this world over the hereafter and deny the truth. This is also mentioned in Surah Al-Nahl in verse 107, where it says, that is because they preferred the worldly life over the hereafter, and Allah does not guide the people who deny. This concludes our segment on Ruku 5 of Surah At-Tawba. Let's briefly go over what we discussed. Jews, Christians, and those like them declare the religious and spiritual leaders as their Lord, whereas the one we have all been commanded to worship is the one Allah. Allah has sent down the deen of Islam as truth through His messenger, the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that it may be made clear to the eyes and minds of all that this is the complete deen. Unfortunately, It is a common practice for religious and spiritual leaders to devour people's wealth unjustly. Also, they hoard their wealth instead of spending it in the way of Allah. The time will come when this wealth will be burned in the fire of hell, and their foreheads, sides, and backs will be branded with it. No one has the right to change the limits set by Allah. Those who deny the truth do that, and Allah does not guide the people who are the deniers. May Allah grant us the ability to understand the Holy Quran and its true meanings in light of the life and guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen. Thank you for joining us for this segment. Until next time. Sadaqallahul Aliyyul Azim. Allah speaks the truth, the exalted, the great. Sallallahu ta'ala ala habibihi Muhammadin wa alihi wasallam.